Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank the gentleman. With that, we will recognize the gentleman from Illinois, Mr. LaHood, to inquire.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Ambassador Lighthizer, welcome back, and thank you for your toughness on China. And we're lucky to have you as our negotiator going up against China. I have the 8th largest ag district in the country in terms of corn and soybean production, heavy manufacturing base, and there is a lot of anxiety in both of those industries, as we've heard today. Wall Street Journal just came out with an article in the last couple of months. The ag economy is down 13% over last year, directly related to tariffs, directly related to the trade war with China, and so a lot of stress and concern there. However, most of my constituents in my district support the president in going after China. And you mentioned at the beginning of your statement, quote, technology is going to rule the future. And how we change the behavior with China seems to be the crux of what you're getting at with your negotiations. And historically, looking over the last 25 years, no president, from Clinton to Bush to Obama, has been able to do anything on this front. Whether it's cyber threats, forced technology transfer, stealing intellectual property, we have not been able to change that behavior to put China on the same playing field as every other industrialized country in the world. And that really seems to be what we're trying to get at. And having said that, you've talked a little bit about our leverage in this negotiating process. And as I look at what you're trying to do here, I'm wondering whether this is going to be different in terms of what's going to be different this time in changing the behavior in China. And I'm going to submit for the record, this is an article from Reuters within the last 2 months here, and the title is, China says U.S. accusations of unfair trade practices are groundless. And in there, the spokesman from China goes on to say that, says the U.S. side made groundless accusations, and China finds that totally unacceptable, and that's from their spokesperson, and I'll submit that for the record, Mr. Chairman. And I guess as we look at what you said earlier, how do we have structural change? How do we get to a more laws-based system? And I know that's what you're getting at. So 2 questions, Mr. Ambassador. First of all, on the ag side, as we begin planting season for our farmers, what assurances can you give my corn and soybean farmers and pork producers that the market share in China will be there when we resolve this eventually? And then secondly, as we look at this different approach that you're taking, what gives you confidence that this approach is going to be different, and what if it's not? What are the consequences to China if we're not able to hold them accountable moving forward and changing that bad behavior? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Congressman, for that question. You covered a lot of territory, and I have 1 minute now to respond, but I will do it as quickly as I can. First of all, in terms of the soy and corn, we are trying to, number one, get more sales, more purchases, not in the question of corn, it's also in the question of ethanol,
Yep.
which of course is a huge user of corn products, of corn. So I believe if we have a deal, there'll be a substantial, in the case of soy, we've already seen a substantial amount of additional purchases recently, and we've seen a certain moving together of soy prices back to traditional levels in terms of the foreign competition. So we've seen some impact, particularly with the most recent 10 million metric ton purchases that the Chinese got into the market for. So if we have a deal, I think we will see substantial new sales there, and hopefully some other improvements in terms of SPS stuff. How is this different? It has to be enforceable. It's got to be specific, and we're covering many more areas than anyone's ever covered. But it requires the grit and determination of the president, and it really requires the cooperation of people who want to reform in China, and there are people in that. And the alternative is what's been going on, and that for sure fails. So we know that approach doesn't fail, and hopefully ours will succeed.
Thank you, Mr. Ambassador.
Thank the gentleman. With that,